Speaking of not great, guys, we know that Disney closed down one of the most classic attractions of all time just a week or so ago, that being Muppet Vision 3D. But could we be seeing Muppet Vision VR in the future? That is the big question that we are asking here on That Park Place Morning Magic this morning. So fans of Muppet Vision 3D received an unexpected dose of some, I guess, good news this week. It's Lisa Henson, the CEO of the Jim Henson Company, because her brother's an idiot, and daughter of Jim Henson, confirmed that the beloved attraction may soon have a second life in virtual reality. Speaking during a panel celebrating the company's 70th anniversary, Henson revealed that Jim Henson Company has already recorded the full Muppet Vision 3D experience using VR cameras and has been in active talks with Disney about bringing the show to immersive devices like the Apple Vision Pro. We've had conversations with Disney about adapting Muppet Vision for VR, Henson said, confirming that the classic attraction has been fully documented for potential digital preservation. So this new revelation comes soon after the closure of Muppet Vision 3D at Hollywood Studios, where it entertained guests for nearly 34 years. However, we have also at That Park Place exclusively reported that we have a source telling us that it is also possible that Disney could be on the verge of a physical comeback by moving Muppet Vision 3D into the theater that's currently being used for Disney villains Unfairly Ever After, mostly because that show has been an unmitigated disaster for Disney. People do not like it, and they are going kind of above and beyond to preserve preserve the elements of the Muppet Vision set, so and a lot of the elements of the pre-show, more so than if they were just going to be putting it into a room being looked after by top men. But this is the abomination that Muppet Courtyard is going to be turned into very, very soon.
Top men.
So guys, how do you feel about Muppet Vision VR? Now, I personally, my take on this, I hate it. I hate the idea of it. I think if it works, then they're going to have carte blanche to destroy everything. It's like, oh, we're going to just give you It's a Small World VR and bulldoze It's a Small World. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
It is a slippery slope, but Disney loves them because they always go down on their hiney, sliding down the hill. And of course, that's exactly what they would do. You read Iger's mind. We're just going to have a bunch of theaters now. And in fact, we may just have one theater and you can go through all the park rides with your VR headset on. Sounds great.
If it existed on its own, I would think it's interesting. If they had a Muppet Vision 3D on, probably for the Apple Vision Pro, which means like 5 people in the United States would be able to use it.
Right.
That would be great. But as some kind of replacement for the genuine article, no, I don't think that's good enough, because it's a 4D experience. If I can eye roll at myself here, being able to turn around and see the actual, I don't know, it's not amazing when you think about something in virtual reality. Like, I get the idea of it is nice, but there has to be some basis in reality in order for us to all be impressed by it. There are people who are trying to do theme parks in virtual reality, and they might be able to do some pretty cool things with it, but it is really not the same thing. It is a different market than Disney saying, okay, come into this place that is real, even though it's fake, it's real, and you do this amazing thing. It's amazing that they built it, as opposed to, we got some good production design, but ultimately it's pixels.
Well, at the end of the day, I used to love the very concept of walking into the Muppet Theater as a kid. It wowed me. It was like one of my first big Disney memories. That's not going to be the same in a virtual reality atmosphere where you can literally be put anywhere in virtual reality. Sorry, go ahead, Vash.
No, I think you're exactly right. It's really the feeling that you evoke with an attraction like this that really is maybe lost in a virtual environment, even if it is VR. I will say it's really the only way to capture this show properly, because as Jonas pointed out, there are things happening all around you, and that's not even just isolated within the show itself, but also to the pre-show as we're seeing on screen and all of that. I mean, it's such a it's such a sensory experience right there that it would be difficult to capture in VR, but it's really the only way to capture it virtually, I think. But I do find your point intriguing, Marvin, how this could be a slippery slope for maybe taking down other attractions than preserving them in VR. It's interesting because Defunct Land, the reason why that channel is called Defunct Land was because the primary goal for that channel was to create a virtual theme park constructed of attractions that have been taken offline. So in order to ride those experiences in VR. So it's kind of interesting how Disney might be beating them to the punch, at least as it relates to this specific experience or attraction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Man, I'm looking at this right now and just remembering what it feels like to see Sweetums come out like that, to be physically present with it. I mean, would they also do the pre-show room? Because the pre-show room was the best pre-show on property. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm down for this. I really am not.
I don't know that it'll work is the other problem, right? I mean, it would be nearly impossible. Again, there is zero reason to take this apart and move it. Leave it where it is. You have a pathway already there to go right by it to Monster Land.
You know what? By the way, real quick aside, that Bean Bunny that we just saw, because that was the replacement Bean Bunny that came, after they did the big refurbishment. Was that a live puppet? I've always wondered, and I think it might be because of the way that it moves. It does not move like an audio animatronic.
Interesting. Now that I'm staring at it, maybe. I don't know.
And I have a friend. I know people that work in puppetry at Disney, or at least I used to. And I asked them back then. I was like, "Hey, what's going on with Bean Bunny?" They were like, "I can't say anything."
Wow. Okay.
So, I don't know if they were just being funny or if it actually is like a puppet.
Right. This of course reminds me of the person with the flashlight who used to enter Alien Encounter. That we found out some years later there was an actual person doing what probably could have been done with a robot arm on a track with that flashlight. Apparently there was somebody whose job was to just sit up there and every 20 minutes just come out for a second and say, "Oh, he's gone. Will you get? It's okay. Bye."
I love that. Stuff like this, just and also originally there was the whole thing when they're doing I know it's not vacuum suck, but it's the thing where they're vacuuming up Waldo. You're supposed to be able to feel the wind rushing from behind you. I mean, it used to be a lot more than it was in recent years, but also the water squirting you, the bubbles, you would lose something in virtual reality. This is not a valid replacement. It would be valid if they were going to move it to that new Muppet Courtyard area rumored over by Rock and Roller Coaster, and then maybe also give you this so that you could experience it when you're not in Walt Disney World. But I don't know. I can't imagine they would do something that kind.
It is so rare for Disney to move any experience whatsoever outside of maybe a couple of film-based attractions. So something like this, where you have audio animatronics, where you have live action characters or cast members actually come out, and there's just such a sensory feeling of this entire experience, like you brilliantly pointed out there, Marvin, with the wind and everything like that. It's just, with all of that, just keep it here. There's no reason to move this thing. There's no reason to not incorporate this in some way into Monsters Incorporated land. I don't understand this. I don't get this. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It's almost as if Disney was just making this decision just to make the fans upset. And I just don't know why they would actually act in this manner or in this fashion. Sure, great. Maybe you could actually preserve at least an aspect of this in VR, but it's not going to be anything compared to the real thing. And perhaps they move it, but I don't think the whole thing moves. Go ahead.
I would say that, Vash, it's that quote that I like to bring up about from Age of Ultron, where it says, Ultron cannot tell the difference between saving the world and destroying it. In Disney's desperation to combat Epic Universe, it tried to save itself and in essence destroyed itself, because the answer to Epic Universe is themed lands everywhere. Everything needs a themed land, including Monsters Incorporated, which Jonas, you have kids. When's the last time any of them ever brought up Monsters Incorporated? Hey, let's watch this. This is they tried doing that Monsters Incorporated series on Disney Plus. That bombed.
Oh yeah, so, they've seen it and they moved on. I get it, and I get told that there are kids who like Monsters Inc. I get it. Okay, that's fine. Cars doesn't quite sell around here. I'm having to review Ben 10 because that seems like that's what they're interested in these days. But it's really Pokemon, Mario, Sonic. They're just not interested in these very kiddie Pixar IPs right now. Wally seems to be the one that for some reason is a big hit in the Campbell house. So no, I'm not seeing a lot of love for Cars. It's anecdotal here, but Cars is fine, but they're not asking for it. Monsters Inc. is fine.
Cars though, at least like Cars at least is like a pretty dominant merch seller out there. Like there's verifiable numbers out there that says Cars is like it's like the one brand that they've got that's for boys. So I'm sure they're going to try to make it for girls at some point. But
well, they already did. They already did. Cruz Ramirez is they girl bossed in that film with Cruz Ramirez. She had the power inside of her all along.
We need a girl boss car. That is the most Disney thing I've ever heard in my life.
And we know there's an IP hierarchy with these things. Cars definitely up there, but also Avatar. Well, it trumps Monsters, as we've learned with Disney California Adventures recently announced expansions or additions. Right? We know that Avatar over there is going to replace Monsters Inc. So it's like, you're already replacing Muppets, which is a blood franchise, with a franchise that you yourself don't even prioritize the highest in when it comes to the West Coast. It's just bizarre.
Well, I'm not in the business of believing anything that the Henson kids say, because the Henson kids are Disney shills. They're Disney shills because they have run their father's company into the ground, and the only time they ever get anything worthwhile is when Disney throws them crumbs. So they are trying to stay on Disney's good side, and they are trying to they're not trying to stick up for their father's legacy. The only people that stuck up for his legacy were people like Steve Whitmire and Frank Oz, the people that Disney ejected from the Muppets. So no, when they got rid of Steve Whitmire, Brian Henson did like this scathing quote about how, like he should have fired Steve Whitmire before the sale went down. And it was absolutely insane just how shilly he was for Disney and how anti anyone that actually stuck up for his father's legacy he was. So the Henson kids, anything that they say, they might just be trying to help Disney save face at this point.
I totally agree with you. I don't know what the Steve Whitmire situation was, but I know he was protective of the character, which is something that Disney really does not like. When they own something, they want to own it completely. Like you could say that John Lasseter was protective of Disney Animation and Pixar, and they definitely didn't want him to stay with the company.
Well, I can tell you what one of the straws that broke the camel's back with Steve Whitmire was remember when they did that Office style like mockumentary show on ABC, which I maintain was ahead of its time because that show was funny.
That was good.
There was a storyline they wanted to do with Kermit where he would lie to Robin, like the classic sitcom plot where like you tell a lie to someone and then that lie snowballs and yada yada yada. And Steve Whitmire was like, Kermit does not lie to Robin. That is not a thing. That is not a thing that he does. He doesn't lie, and he certainly doesn't lie to Robin. And Disney was apparently like, that's it. Which, because and a lot of them, they see Kermit is treated with reverence. Kermit is never like the Kermit. You don't see somebody like take the Kermit puppet by its neck and like just toss it to somebody to put on. Like the Kermit puppet is brought out from what I understand, like under a sheet on like a platform when it's time, and then the puppeteer like puts it on where no one can see, and then Kermit pops up. Like it is treated with reverence by the Henson people, or at least it was back then. I don't know if it still is anymore. Now, Disney probably drop kicks it. It's funny because not to get on the Henson, rant, but Jim Henson was very much not like that. Like Henson never really cared. Like Henson would throw the puppets on the first Oscar the Grouch, the orange one. Instead of being preserved, like once they decided they were going with a new direction, Henson and Frank Oz started ripping it apart to use the materials for something else. So they weren't like that, but I mean, it is what it is. All right, gentlemen, anything else to add about this?
It's sad that this attraction has gone away, and that the most we might ever get out of this, depending on how this actually plays out, is a virtual reality experience. I think Jim Henson's legacy deserved a lot more. I love it.
Well, and I'm hoping that our source will be proven right, and that eventually we will get, that movie. But can you ever think of any instance of them ever actually moving an attraction like from one place to another? I can't think of one of them.
Everything from the 64 World's Fair.
Well,
in the 60s though with Walt, and that's the thing. And those are always meant to be moved back at some point. It's very rare.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.